In theaters now is Ty West's much anticipated third chapter in his X trilogy. You had X, you had Pearl, and now you have MAXXXINE, all three starring Mia Goth as the head character, at least in Pearl and in MAXXXINE. MAXXXINE is an adult film actress on the cusp of mainstream success. She hopes by getting a role in a sequel to a popular slasher film from a few years earlier. All the while, Richard Ramirez, they didn't know that at the time, the Night Stalker serial killer, is laying waste to victims in and around LA while she does anything she can to make it to the top. So this follows the vibe of the character, the central character in each of these films. The central character, I wouldn't say Mia Goth was necessarily the central character in X, but she plays the same character she does in X. Pearl was a prequel to those where Mia Goth plays a different character she plays in X, not to give anything away in case you haven't seen those. Now, I didn't like X at all. I thought it was really not good, and I just made me want to watch all the films that it was giving nods to the whole time. I like Pearl a lot more. Great performance by Goth in that, in a strange melodramatic horror film. And then MAXXXINE is an 80s soaked ode to Sunset Strip, LA, glitz, glam, and the dark side of striving for fame in the motion picture media industry. And Mia Goth is really good. She's really good as that same girl you saw in X. Many years later, occasionally having flashbacks to the horrific things that happened in that film that she survived, and using that strength to not let anyone or anything get in her way to become a mainstream film actress. So the film gives us all of the edgy, sleazy stuff of the era. It's got cocaine. It's got pornography. There's a strip club and all that stuff. There's a video store with horror movie titles and murders, and it's got gore for you there. I really liked this movie up to a point. I really liked the sense of the era, although having lived through the era, I can be a bit of a pedant and a stickler for certain things. Certain characters really felt like the Spirit Halloween version of that character. Mia Goth's, MAXXXINE's best friend / I believe roommate is a man who works in a video store, and he looks like a cool buff dude, but they have him with the glasses with the tape in the middle, and I'm just like, that just feels fake. He doesn't feel like this kind of nerdy video store guy that he's supposed to be. He seems like a really cool guy who's made to look like a video store nerd. Kevin Bacon shows up as a sleazy southern accented private eye that feels like a cartoon. He feels like, and Kevin Bacon is good and can be good, and he just feels like a fake cartoon version of what he's supposed to be. And there's a few characters like that, but there are others that felt like you could have picked them right out of Angel or right out of Vice Squad or right out of any movie from back then that this film kind of, pays homage to in a way, or is the descendant of. And in fact, we actually saw a screening where we are of 1982's Vice Squad. I'm not talking about Vice Squad, but I'm going to talk about Vice Squad, which is a wonderfully sleazy film shot and set in the Sunset Strip era of LA, shot in 81, released in 82. And watching that, I said afterwards, oh my God, that would make a great double feature with MAXXXINE. So if you're going to see MAXXXINE, either watch Vice Squad before or after, and the two will pair well together. So MAXXXINE is, she's doing her thing. She's trying to get that role. She's trying to secure, land, keep that role that's going to make her into the star she always knew she could be while there are murders going on. Is it the Night Stalker? Is it someone else? It's people close to MAXXXINE getting killed. What's going on? Eventually, that's where the movie loses me. I was going with the vibe. It's a great use of period music, really nice recreation of the era for the most part. I could have wallowed in that era and that world a lot more before we got to the climax where everything is revealed, because it totally lost me. It put the brakes on hard because it got stupid. I thought it just got stupid and silly, and the entity that is revealed to be the villain was a really over-the-top bad acting, bad writing. It just became totally ridiculous out of the blue. And some people I've talked to were totally fine with that, but for me, I'm just like, you had this really cool thing going and you were really nailing it, and you didn't drop the ball. You kicked the ball out of a moving car window. The ball's gone, and the movie couldn't get me back after that. That's a real shame. It makes me wonder. Ty West, I can appreciate what he does, but I never really love his movies. And I almost wonder if Ty West needs a collaborator or somebody to say no, or somebody to say, if you did it, because many times I've watched his films and I've just been like, it was almost, for me, almost there, but it didn't. It's like he needs a Lennon for his McCartney or vice versa. That's just what I think, because it had so much going for it. And in the end, I walked away saying, I don't know, I guess I would say I liked it, but what it did at the end so just kind of threw away what had come before it that it really kind of bummed me out. So if you like gore, it's got the gore. For some people, gore in a film is all it takes, and it will overcome all other weaknesses the film may have. So if you're a gore hound and you like your kills and your body parts and all that, it's got it. If you're looking for some salacious stuff because of the business MAXXXINE is in, they really kind of dance around that. You see shooting one adult scene, but it's literally like the camera passes past it. So it doesn't really dwell. There's a scene in a strip club, and I don't even think you see any nudity in there. So they don't really dwell on that aspect of it. And that's okay, you know. But it's an interesting film. I do wonder if it didn't have the music of the era, if I would have still liked it as much, because the music really does a lot of heavy lifting. It's great music of the era. It's music I remember. It's music you know. They use a iconic song from the era at the end, and it works really well. So anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. MAXXXINE in theaters now. You probably do want to watch X before you watch MAXXXINE because it does tie in a lot to that movie. They insinuate what they're talking about in the past, and they do have some quick flashbacks, but I feel like a refresher on X probably would help in the end. But let me know if you watched MAXXXINE, you never saw X, did it make sense to you? In theaters now from Ty West, Mia Goth is MAXXXINE.